friend of mine was telling me about how plants can communicate. So his name is Justin Mast, and he founded a company called Electric Plant. And they're working with all sorts of different signals from plants. And they're basically creating a Fitbit for plants. It's a first of its kind dongle that attaches to a plant and able to just read all sorts of data. And they're building a large plant model, able to take data from all sorts of different plants in all sorts of different environments in different conditions and able to really tell us what the plant is saying. It's not really intended to be an ad for him, but it's an interesting topic. And this is the type of stuff that I want to cover more on this channel, get exposed to these really interesting projects and ideas. And I just wanted to bring a little bit more exposure to them. One of the things that he described was this research that happened in Japan after an earthquake in 2011. Researchers were able to show that the tree knew that the earthquake was going to happen days before it actually did. He published this article and he's writing about all sorts of different topics on this. And you see, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. He's actually using generative AI to understand the data that we're able to get, because you think about it, okay, there's lots of different signals, but how do you start to normalize that and standardize that in such a way that you can actually say, hey, this plant is saying, I'm hungry, a bug's eating me, or I need more water. Or maybe if you can use it for other things, like saying there's a forest fire nearby, or there's something wrong with the water here. I really liked his approach because he wants to make sensors that can be very low cost, and you can actually aggregate this data effectively across the country, across the world, and you can have this kind of nervous system of the planet and be able to read what's going on. It reminds me, similar to some of the stuff that I've seen here being in Detroit, that a lot of things are happening in the background that we're not always so aware of. There's things being built and we're kind of separated from that. But I think it's good to have exposure to that, to have a deeper understanding of these things and what their potential is and how that might inspire other ideas and other projects. Some other projects I found in just researching to understand this a little bit more is this thing called Cyborg Botany that MIT is working on. They basically hooked up a plant to a robot, and the plant is actually able to control and move the robot around. In the UK, I learned they're using mushrooms effectively to create brains for computers. They're using fungal networks to process information. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that there's all sorts of stuff that we just have no idea about. I definitely like to pull some of these strings as I'm doing now when I come across them. But I'm hoping to do more of that. I wonder what you guys think about this kind of video. Maybe there are some futuristic things being made right now that we should cover, but maybe not in the purely scientific sense, but just this is cool. How is this gonna potentially shape our future? When I think about tapping into these signals, this information, these tools, right? What are some of the potential things that AI can bring in really processing this massive amount of data? It's definitely improving, and it's improving fast. I think it's limited in some ways by the capacity of the compute, which seems there's a lot of investment going into that as well. I mean, just yesterday, Department of Energy in the US announced they're making this massive investment in this Genesis project. I think I'll probably want to do a video on this because I think this is going to be a really big deal. When I think about the future, what we're making, how fast it's starting to move, and potentially how fast some of these new solutions and ideas will move, what's not possible, really, right? When I look at a lot of the comments that have happened on the video so far, when I talk about some of these new ideas, we're always so stuck in our old ideas and so limited in our concepts. And I think that we need to think outside of that. Some of these other experimental things, like another one related to this rare earth thing these days, there's this phyto-mining, where plants are able to draw rare earths out of the ground, and they can actually mine the leaves for rare earths. Scientists found that ferns that suck up heavy metals from the soil form rare earth crystals inside their leaves. This is crazy. I think a lot of our modern age today is really built on sensors and data. I've learned a lot of information working with Bosch. They have all sorts of crazy sensors. I was learning about some of their sensors at CES several years ago, and they have these sensors that can detect forest fires from miles away. With these developments, there's a lot of opportunities to expand on these things. They have a sensor on the space station. It's basically a microphone, and they're able to detect issues with the space station just based on sounds it's making. Pairing some of these newer computing tools with new types of data and sensors, we're going to see a lot of new opportunities for how we can use this information and really just bring new solutions for how we're going to build the future. I guess that's one of the other things I think about is the potential of AI and some of these other tools to help us understand our brains more. What is the potential of that? This idea that we're only using such a small capacity of our brains. Will this unlock that more? Will it just make us stupider? Sometimes we over-depend on these new tools where we start to forget things, like over-depending on GPS and starting to forget your sense of direction and just abilities to navigate in the world. Or even just do basic math, right? These are things that happen already as a result of computers. I'm not sure how we address that. How do we really keep those skills? I think that they're important. Do I need to know how to make a bow and arrow and hunt my own food? I don't know. Maybe it's a helpful skill. Some people think so. Sometimes you get a little bit nervous with some of this technology and different things like that, but this is a really interesting one, this idea of pairing technology with nature and really understanding things on a deeper level. Not something I paid much attention to, but it's something I'm definitely going to look forward to paying more attention to. I wonder what you guys think. What are the interesting ways can we use this information and really learn from what plants are doing? And could they tell us more than what we are able to sense ourselves? So anyway, just a short little video for the holiday weekend. I hope you guys thought it was interesting. Let me know, you want to see more of these type of things? I kind of get exposed to all these things, and I think it'd be interesting just to share these occasionally. I'll continue to talk about other topics, about domestic manufacturing. I really believe in the possibilities of building more things here and really just showing true innovation, which certainly an example of here. So hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you soon. Take care.